There's no podcast like our podcast, like no podcast I know. Everything about it is appealing, everything the format will allow. Nowhere can you get that happy feeling while you are sleeping or working out. Last week they told us we would not go far. That night we recorded, and here we are. Hopefully we don't end up like Roseanne Barr. Let's go on with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Massive Late Fee. There's my little amateur. What's the word I'm looking for, Mike? Theme music. If you don't want to hear me sing anymore, send in a theme song for us to use. So today we've got some news. Thanks everyone for listening last week. We had a very good turnout of people. We're getting our social media feet out from under us. We have a Facebook now. If you go on Facebook and look for Massive Late Fee, you'll find us there. If you go to Twitter at Massive Late Fee, you'll find us there. You can email us if you want to email us a theme song or ask us a question or tell us how much we suck. You can go to mishsportsent@gmail.com and talk to us there. I thought about creating a Gmail account for us, Mike, but I already have like 5 Gmail accounts for the different things that we do, and I just really didn't feel like having another one.
That's fair.
So, how was your week, Mike? Good?
Yeah, that's right. How was your week?
That was fine. Busy working on the site at Michigan Sports and Entertainment. Haven't had a lot of time to see a ton of movies. Today we'll be talking about our favorite horror movies in honor of Halloween. But first, there's some interesting items in the news that I kind of wanted to get your take on. The first one, they are rebooting Child's Play. I'm not sure if you've heard this or not.
Nope.
But they're rebooting it without the input of the original director, Don Mancini. He wants to continue his timeline, the continuity of the films that he did with a TV series.
Does that include like the Jennifer Tilly movies? Or
Yes.
those the same? Oh,
Yes. So yeah, Bride of Chucky and
Seed of Chucky is one of them, I believe.
Yep. So he's gonna continue those with a TV show. I'm not sure when that's going to come out, but so there will be 2 Child's Play timelines going on simultaneously. The reboot is supposed to come out, I believe, next year.
Like they're starting it. Are you saying they're like starting it entirely from the beginning, like a completely? I mean, the exact same movie but with different actors, essentially.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Just what the world's been clamoring for all these years.
Yeah, another Child's Play movie. I mean, when that movie came out, I think in '88 or something like that. I saw it in the theater. Actually, it might have been a little later. I was around 9 or 10, I suppose. That's how much either the world has changed or how little my parents cared about me. But yeah, I saw it in the theater. I mean, it was good. I liked it as a 9-year-old. It still holds up, I think, decently. But yeah, they did get very silly very quickly. And I just, you know how I feel about reboots. I'm not a big fan of the reboots and the remakes and things like that. But
What about reimaginings?
the only remake that I will support is the shot-for-shot remake of Psycho.
I didn't see that, but I didn't think it was necessary to see that.
No, if you've seen the original Psycho, you don't need to see it. It's
You know what would improve Psycho? Vince Vaughn.
oh,
I
just
mean, Anthony Perkins, he's okay, I guess.
you know, someone had a theory, and I don't know if it's just wishful thinking or not, but someone said that they asked Gus Van Sant why he decided to do that, and a shot for shot remake. You know, it's if you're gonna do a remake, it's just weird to do it basically the exact same way. And he said that he did it so no one else could. So I heard a theory that the reason that he decided to do this was so that no one would ever make a remake of Psycho because he loved the original movie so much.
So I have a feeling that the it's more like the scene in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back where they cut to Gus Van Sant just counting money.
Yeah.
Probably more with the original.
He was riding high in '98 because that was after Good Will Hunting was a big success because he did a lot of indie small movies before that. He was definitely riding high. I could absolutely see that where they said they wanted to make it and he said, okay, I'll do it if you give me a bunch of money.
I wonder if that was like if I make this movie for you, I'll make a couple more independents, or not independents, but like my own movies that I conceived of.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a possibility. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he's an interesting filmmaker. I like a fair amount of his movies. I like I said, I think maybe that's where the theory comes from is that a lot of people happen to like him and they can't imagine why he'd make this obviously inferior remake.
I haven't seen Good Will Hunting, but that also sounds like kind of a weird movie for him to make. I've only seen two and maybe three. I don't know if the third one was one of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Last Days, which I thought it was a really interesting movie. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yep.
I just think it's really nice to look at it. I mean, not much goes on in the movie, but I mean, it's just really like a visually interesting movie.
Yeah.
Let's see. See. This is one I'm not sure. My Own Private Idaho, is that his movie? I'm not positive on that one.
I'm not sure either. Should we look it up or should we just say fuck it?
I'll look it up in the meantime while I'm talking, and I'll probably have a lot of weird pauses. But if that's it, that's a really good movie. Like a lot of people don't really care for Keanu Reeves acting for some reason. I'm actually a big fan of Keanu Reeves. Like I like most of the movies I've seen with him. Like I like The Matrix, Point Break, the John Wick movies. I like the first one a lot better, but I mean, whatever.
The fight
Bill and Ted
is
Bill and Ted 1 and 2.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the first John Wick is just amazing, and the first Matrix too is just like. When I saw the first Matrix, it was like I had to see it so many times. Or I saw it that I might have seen that movie more than any other movie because it's just like such an astonishing movie.
See, I think that Keanu Reeves obviously doesn't have a ton of range as an actor, but I think that he's perfect for The Matrix, John Wick, movies like that because he's almost like an avatar for the audience. He doesn't bring enough personality across to where it's impossible to put yourself in his shoes. I think a lot of those movies are about kind of connecting or living vicariously through the protagonist, and I think that's part of the reason why he's successful. Plus, he's very good at picking good movies.
See, I think he's actually a pretty good comedic actor too. Like I like him in obviously Bill and Ted 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He's in Parenthood for a little bit. He's pretty funny in that. I mean, he's basically playing the same role in a lot of them. But I just like the guy.
Well, he seems like a very genuinely nice person too. I read about how he gave up. I can't remember how much it was. Something like 60 or 70% of his salary on the Matrix sequels and gave it to the visual effects artists because he said without you guys, the movie's not successful.
Yeah, if you just look up like kind acts by Keanu Reeves, it's just like that's all you hear. I mean, he just seems like I have a feeling that maybe he's just kind of thrust on the role of like the lead actor when really he probably would be better as like a supporting actor, but he's like just like a good looking guy, and I was like, oh, let's have him be the star of the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, he definitely seems like a genuinely good guy, so he's very easy to root for.
Yeah, and I did look it up. My Own Private Idaho is Gus Van Sant. It was written and directed by him.
Wow, written too.
That's you. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's a very good movie.
It's really. I mean, I guess it's based on Henry the some Shakespeare one. I'm not sure which one. It's not Henry V, but it's a Shakespearean movie. I don't know
Hmm.
which one. My knowledge of Shakespeare movies basically extends to what I learned in high school, and I guess they made plays out of them too. Some of them. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
That
I
that's
heard
real.
that.
That's like again, it's like a visually like really like kind of astounding movie. Like, and the other one that I saw by Gus Van Sant was Elephant. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I think we watched that together.
That's possible. I have no recollection ever of any movie I've seen with anyone. So if you told me you saw any movie I've ever seen in my life with me, I'd be like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think we saw that together. That's the one about the school shooting.
Yeah,
That was another movie that it kind of bored me, but visually it's absolutely gorgeous.
yeah. I think they used like a lot of like amateur kind of actors too, and most of the actors like had their own name too. Like it
Hmm.
was like the name of the actor is the same name as the character.
Yeah, I think he was trying to go for as much realism as he could in that movie. Because it was so recently after Columbine and that school shootings had been in the news a lot during that time. But yeah, I feel like we either saw that in the theater or we rented it.
I think it was a rental.
Yeah, I think we rented it and watched it together. But I definitely know I've seen it, and I'm pretty sure it was with you.
Yeah, I really that was again that was like it was just basically they just had every possible like excuse as to why there was really every excuse and no excuse as to why they were actually doing the shooting,
Hmm.
which was kind of like a I guess that's kind of almost like a like you can decide what's happening in the movie kind of movie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the other big news, well, I don't know if it's big news, but the other
I thought
new,
that
yeah,
after that Child's Play. I don't know how that happened.
yeah, how did we get there? But anyway,
Oh,
digressions are all
like,
this show's about. So,
yeah, we were talking about Psycho, and then I went to Gus Van Sant.
so the other news today is that Tom and Jerry, if you're familiar with them, the cat and the mouse, are coming to the big screen in a live action CGI blended film. I don't know if I can. I don't even know if I can conceive of what my thoughts could be on a Tom and Jerry movie. Assume that it's going to be marketed to children. I can't imagine that adults would want to see this.
It's ridiculous because I have a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old. If I asked them who Tom and Jerry were, they would have no clue.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that the only people that know who Tom and Jerry are our age or older, and
Yeah,
none of them
even
are
our
going to see
age,
it.
even our age, I don't feel that it was on that much.
No, I think I saw some reruns when I was very little, but it's certainly not. I mean, I think you have to be around 50 or 60 to really have a strong childhood attachment to Tom and Jerry, but a CGI live action blend. And the other thing that they're going to do is they're rebooting the Scooby Doo movie. Now, here's Warner Brothers' idea. Since the DC movies haven't taken off, they're desperate to create their own cinematic universe like Marvel. They're rebooting Scooby Doo, and they want to develop their own Hanna-Barbera movie cinematic universe.
Wow, I don't know why, but wow.
The people behind it are
Are their names Hannah and Barbera by chance?
oh, I think they're dead. Christopher Columbus is going to produce most of these movies. I guess he's taking the Kevin Feige role from Marvel, where he's sort of the producer behind all these different movies. The Scooby Doo remake is going to be directed by Dax Shepard. He was on Parenthood,
Oh, I know who Dax Shepard is. I like him. I didn't know he did. He direct the Chips movie? I think he might have. I'm not sure.
I think he did.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't care. I see the problem with that. I like that movie. I didn't like that movie. I like Dax Shepard a lot, though. But that movie specifically, I don't know what it was. I never really saw the original Chips. I don't think that really would have had a factor, though.
I watched it when I was a kid. It's I actually didn't see the movie, the Chips movie, but I had no interest in seeing. It's just another one of those things that they were bringing back from the '80s that I didn't want to see.
Yeah, it was on like HBO when I saw it. I'm like, oh, I'll watch it because I like Dax Shepard, but it just did nothing for me. I mean,
I do like Dax Shepard too, though.
I think I gave it a chance because have you seen the 21 and 22 Jump Street remakes?
I saw 21 Jump Street. I didn't see 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, I don't know how I saw. I think I saw this 22 first. Those movies are hilarious. Like we watched Alex and I, my wife and I watch those all the time.
Yeah, I want to watch the second one. The first one I thought was very funny.
The second one is better, but that might be, in my opinion. But I saw it first, so that might be, And we watched them one time. We watched them like back to back, essentially. Like one night we watched one, the other, and the second one actually made a lot of references to the first one. We didn't catch the first time.
But yeah, that movie was funnier than it had a right to be, in my opinion, because I had no expectations going into a 21 Jump Street movie. That was another show. My sister, because she was older than me, still is, watched
You didn't catch up?
Yeah, she watched that show, and I caught a little of it, but it wasn't really for my age group. So I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't have any expectations for it. But when I saw it, I mean, like I said, it's way funnier than it had a right to be. They did a very good job, the writing on it, and that's the thing. I think you can make almost any premise or any reboot or any kind of take on something funny if the writing's good. They wrote a very funny script, and the performances are very good, and that's what makes the movie.
Yeah, like I said, if you get a chance, I definitely watch 22 Jump Street. That's a great. It's one of the best comedies I've seen recently.
I'll check it out for sure.
One that I hadn't seen before.
The other big news today is that The Conners is premiering tonight. It seems like just yesterday that Roseanne was rebooted and then canceled because of Roseanne's tweets. Are you DVRing The Conners? Will you watch it? Did you watch any of the Roseanne reboot?
I think I watched like the first episode because I'm not a huge fan of Roseanne, but my wife just loves the show. Like she basically can know each episode line by line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I watched it and it was all right, but I mean, really, if you look at the original series, the last couple seasons were just like really bad.
Yeah, I agree. I love the show too. I did think it fell off in the last few seasons. I watched all the episodes of the reboot. I liked it. I was, upset when it was canceled. We don't get into politics much here but I'll just say as far as political views go, Roseanne and I probably don't agree very much, but I also hate a lot of the overtly political correctness that comes in our society, and I hate people getting fired over stuff they say on social media. And I did not really support her getting fired over what she wrote, or the show getting canceled. I don't have a lot of desire to watch the reboot. I probably will, at least the first episode of the Conners reimagining, but I don't have a lot of expectations for it because, I mean, that's like taking Seinfeld out of the show Seinfeld. I mean, Roseanne was the heart of that show. Not that Seinfeld without Seinfeld couldn't be funny. I suppose it depends on if Larry David was writing the episodes or not. But it would be way too different.
Yeah. See, the original run of Roseanne, it was in a lot of ways like the anti-sitcom, kind of in the ways like Married with Children was.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm not like I don't really watch network TV that much lately. It's all like YouTube and Netflix and that kind of stuff, and like HBO. It's just like a different like. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's not really like the traditional, like, however, 3-camera sitcom where there's a laugh track and all that stuff. And the episode I saw of the remake or reimagining or whatever you want to call it of Roseanne was basically like any other standard sitcom. They basically took what was special about the original or different, and it's like, oh, hey, look, DJ fell down the stairs. Everyone laughed, that kind of thing.
Right. Well, yeah, I agree. The thing that was different about Roseanne, because in the climate that Roseanne existed in, when I think it was like 89, I think it was 89 or 90 or something like that when the show first came out, the climate that she existed in was that every show on TV was a 3-camera sitcom or a drama. And that had been the way it was since I Love Lucy, basically. So to be subversive or to be different in that time period was to be different or subversive in your content, which she was, Married with Children was. But that's kind of old hat now. There are lots of shows, like you said, whether it's on Hulu originals or YouTube, that are different in their content, subversive in their content. So now, really, the way to push the envelope or to do things differently is format-wise, almost. Camera setup, the way you shoot television. Lots of things have changed in television as far as lighting and cinematography and directing and stuff than it used to be. It used to be very simple, flat lighting, very simple setups, because everything was done for efficiency. It was done for time. And now there's a little more freedom as far as what directors are able to do and what creative people are able to do with the format. And I think, like you said, when you look at Roseanne now, it doesn't seem subversive or different anymore like it used to. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, at least the new one that I saw was just like you almost like forced to be as like politically correct as possible. It's like, I mean, whatever. I mean, if there's like a natural element to it, like, oh, this person happens be like the boy who was like dressing in girls' clothes and that kind of stuff. It's like, hey, look, here's my new son, and he dresses like a girl.
Yeah. I know. There's I definitely gave the show a chance because I know that I'm going to speak for myself, but I think I'm pretty confident I speak for you two on this. My favorite comedian is Norm Macdonald.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that you agree with me on that. He got his start writing on Roseanne, and I'd first heard about that they were rebooting it when he talked about it on Norm Macdonald Live, his show on YouTube. And he said he was coming back to write for it, so I was like, well, I'll give him a chance.
It doesn't seem like he wrote for it, the episode I saw.
No, I know. I think watching the whole series, I could see a few of his jokes that probably got in there. A few that seemed like Norm. But, he was always, I think, a cog in the machine of that. Like Chuck Lorre, he didn't come back, obviously, because he and Roseanne don't like each other. But, the guy behind The Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men, he started as, I don't think he was the head writer, but he was an important writer on that show. And he and Roseanne clashed a lot, which is eventually she fired him, which is why he didn't come back. But if you look at it, you can see kind of early signs of stuff that he did later with The Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men on Roseanne. You can see a little of his influence too, more than Norm's.
I think you're definitely more of like a current, up to current date with like cultural type things and TV shows and that kind of stuff. I honestly can't remember the last show I regularly watched that was on like a normal network. Maybe it might have been I watched The Following for like the first season, but even that I didn't watch the whole thing. It was okay. I mean, Kevin Bacon's in it. He's pretty good. James Elfroy.
Yeah, that's the one where he's a serial killer, right? And he's got a fan club.
He's like, yeah, exactly. And that was okay, but then that just became a little ridiculous, as the very premise sounds like it would. I watched House, like the second season of House. I watched like every episode, and then like I missed an episode. I'm like, I don't need to see it again. And I pretty much never saw it again.
House got bad towards the end, and I loved House. I watched.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, but it was like such a formula. It's like, oh no, what is it? What is it? Oh, hold on, there's 5 minutes left. Oh, you know that thing I thought it couldn't be? It's that.
Yeah, it was definitely like CSI. It was definitely like CSI, but medical.
Oh yeah, it's like the exact same. It could be the exact same shows. If you switch the characters, I mean, if you just took like the lines from Grissom and gave them the House, or vice versa, it'd be like, okay, this guy is smarter than everyone else.
Yeah, I probably am a little more versed on the current stuff, not because I necessarily want to be, but because I do the entertainment articles for Michigan sports. I kind of have to be. I prefer some of the originals on Hulu, and I strongly prefer YouTube shows. There are different like podcasts or like YouTube series that I watch that I prefer to. Like, one of my favorite things to watch is Red Letter Media. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but
the only YouTube show I've ever seen, and YouTube is down right now. Hopefully, we'll get it back at some point.
Right.
The only thing I've ever seen on YouTube was the Cobra Kai series.
Okay, yeah.
I love that show.
It was awesome. I loved it too. That was another thing that was way better than it had a right to be.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I like the actors. I mean, Johnny, the guy who plays Johnny Lawrence, William Zabka. That guy. I mean, in the '80s, he was like the biggest dick in like every movie, pretty much.
Yep.
Like he was in Back to School as well for some reason.
Yeah, he was the bad guy in Back to School. I think he was in.
I like how he's a tough diver. I mean, you don't get many of those.
Yeah, he's
I'm on the dive team.
Exactly. He's a badass diver, which is not two words that you hear together very often.
Not as good as a 6-year-old man, but still good.
He was also in Just One of the Guys.
Yeah, I thought he was in that. I don't really remember. Oh, I have a really horrible joke about that one that I'm going to keep to myself.
My favorite part of that is when, to prove to the guy that she likes that she's a woman, she just tears open her shirt and shows her chest, and he says, "What are you doing having tits?" And then she kisses him in front of everyone at this party, and they all think she's a guy too. And he just looks out over everybody and goes, "It's okay. She's got tits."
Yeah, I've only seen bits of that movie. That's a great line. I gotta bust that out on someone. What are you doing having tits?
Oh my god, it's one of those movies that I don't even know if I could say it's so bad it's good. It's enjoyable as a movie. But it's not. I don't think it lowers itself to the level of it's so bad it's good. It's just one of those things that if you don't take it seriously in any way, it's amusing because of lines like that.
Is Amanda Bierce in that one too?
I am not sure.
Marcy from Mary's Children. She's in some '80s movie. I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's not that one.
I don't think she's in that one, but I know what you're talking about. What movie is it? But yeah, I know. I know what you're talking about. She is definitely in one of those. I was rewatching 16 Candles like a couple weeks ago for something that I was doing, and I forgot that Andrew Dice Clay was in that movie.
I've seen parts of that. There's a movie that's just like it, or is it Pretty in Pink?
Yeah.
Are they both with Molly Ringwald? I don't really know. Or is Ali Sheedy in one of them? Okay, yeah. I've seen parts of both of them. I don't know which is which. That's kind of weird that Andrew Dice was he billed as Andrew Dice Clay or Andrew Silver? Do you know?
I think it was Andrew Clay.
Okay, yeah, because I think he was actually like an actor for a while. I've never seen him. I mean, I know that he was in Ford Fairlane, which I didn't see. I don't
Yeah,
think
but
anyone
he
else
was an
really did
actor
either.
before that too. When he kind of first started doing stand up, even before he got the like Dice persona, he really wanted to pursue acting, and he booked a few different small parts in things. And I think a lot of the time he he billed himself as Andrew Clay for the acting, and then Andrew Dice Clay for the stand-up comedy. And then eventually, when he became really popular, he just said screw it and was Andrew Dice Clay for both. By the time Ford Fairlane came around, because his stand-up career had really taken off at that point.
I'm surprised he was in Back to School because I think Rodney. I mean, I think that's why Sam Kinnison's in it because Rodney Dangerfield, obviously was a fan of stand-ups.
Yep,
So
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. Rodney Dangerfield and Andrew Dice Clay were good friends, and so was Sam Kinison and Rodney Dangerfield for sure. Because
Yeah,
Andrew Dice Clay performed at Dangerfield's comedy club all the time.
yeah, speaking of Norm Macdonald, there's if you have a chance, look up the his story about Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah, I'll have to look that
Pretty
up.
good. Yeah, if you look to my my YouTube history of videos I've watched, you probably think I stalk Norm Macdonald. I've probably seen every clip I can of him. I can't get enough.
Oh, I watch a ton of them too. Like his appearances on Conan, his and obviously the episodes of Norm Macdonald Live, different stand up things. It's but and like David Letterman too. His appearances on Letterman, but his appearances on Conan are hilarious.
Yeah, they're just amazing. Like it's he's obviously a hilarious comedian, but I think if he might be the best talk show host guest of all time. I mean,
I
I
agree.
can't think of. I mean, Rodney Dangerfield again is a very good one as well.
Yeah, and Rodney, like because I've seen a lot of Rodney Dangerfield's like Johnny Carson appearances and stuff, um, and he's good, he's funny, but that was a time period where he's basically doing his act. He's basically
Oh yeah, he's for sure doing his act because Johnny Carson would be like, "So what's this? You went to the doctor the other day?"
yeah. So how's your health? And then Rodney goes, "It's not time for health yet." But it's a different thing. Norm Macdonald is so good at telling a story in a humorous way.
I love how I mean he does the same thing where it's obviously like he's setting up a joke, but he just makes it like he's clearly just turning the whole idea of it on its head. But like, oh, I talked to my cab driver on the way in,
Yeah, yeah. The
and he told me a joke. You want to hear it? It's like what?
and he goes and Conan says, "Well, if he came up with the joke, why don't we have him here?" And Norm's response is, "Well, wait till you hear me tell it," which is just brilliant.
Yeah, it's just wow. Like I mean, I've even heard him say the exact same joke told somewhat differently. Like the Dirty Johnny joke he told on Conan, which was obviously somewhat more clean than it was on the Howard Stern show, and it's
Yep.
just hilarious both times. I mean, that he's
Oh
a
yeah.
gem.
Yeah, I love Norm is the best, and I agree. I think he's the best talk show host. I think anyone who's starting a talk show, that's got to be the first call that you want to make if you want to start out right, because he's brilliant. And like I said, I heard him explain one time that he has the punchline to a joke, but he doesn't know the setup basically.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure.
so he'll know where he's going, but he kind of meanders his way to get there. I think
Slightly.
I think maybe the hardest I've ever laughed, and it's hard to pick one with Norm, but maybe the hardest I ever laughed was when he hosted the ESPYs, and it was shortly after O.J. Simpson lost the civil suit
I remember
to the Goldmans for his murder of Nicole and
alleged murder.
right. And Norm's on the stage and he calls out Charles Woodson from Michigan, who had just won the Heisman Trophy. And he says, Charles Woodson, the first defensive player ever to win the Heisman Trophy. That's great. And everyone cheers. And he says, they can never take that away from you unless you murder your wife and a waiter. And it's just, it was so perfect. And the audience reaction, that's part of what is great about Norm Macdonald is the audience reaction. You can see like Ken Griffey Jr. covering his face, but it's perfect because it's, you know, we all know what happened. We all know how he got away with it. And it's just, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, that's just one of so many hilarity uh, moments from Norm. Like, I don't know if you ever, I'm sure you've seen his classic monologue when he came back to host SNL.
Yeah.
The thing about that I heard later, which is kind of bizarre but not too shocking to me, is he actually contemplated just leaving and not coming back.
Yeah,
Just walking off stage and not returning for the entire show.
that makes sense to me. I love that. Yeah, I love that. He talks about how he got fired, and for anyone that hasn't seen it, he talks about how he got fired like a year prior, and they brought him back to host, and he says, "I don't understand what I did in this year to get so damn funny to be able to host the show because a year ago I got fired because I wasn't funny enough." And he said, but then it came to me that I haven't gotten funnier. The show has just gotten much worse.
You'll see later.
Yeah. Oh, it's the perfect Norm monologue. I can't imagine him doing it any other way than that.
Yeah, it's just like he's just brutally honest and only seeks to amuse himself, which is just the perfect combo.
Yeah, I love, another great thing before we move on. This is becoming
You're
the
listening to
Norm
the Norm
Macdonald
Macdonald
tribute.
podcast.
But the other thing that I really love is when he's with Letterman because I like David Letterman a lot. He was much better when I was younger and he was younger, but he softened a lot over the years, or just kind of. I think, in my opinion, he probably stayed a little longer than he should have. But I loved David Letterman when I was growing up, especially a lot more than Jay Leno. And I love seeing Norm with him because you can see how much Norm loves Letterman and how much Letterman loves Norm. And those are two people that you rarely see any kind of genuine emotion from. They're both kind of closed off, like stoic guy type guys that don't like to cry or show emotion. And when they start talking about each other to each other and how much they appreciate each other, you can really see the emotion between the two of them. And it's a fun little kind of inside look at both of them, a side that they don't show with any other person.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I think Norm is the more emotional one towards him. Like his last stand up on Letter, I've watched that so many times.
Oh, and it's a brilliant, and the tribute, what he says at the end, like how he loves Letterman and everything, is great, and very emotional. But that's the stand up, not to overshadow the stand up before it, is hilarious.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he even tells his favorite Dave Letterman joke at the end of it.
Yep. Yeah, about the following the garbage
Garbage
truck.
truck. Yeah. That's like the way he told it. You could definitely hear David Letterman telling that joke. 'Cause it's perfectly, phrasing and everything, and even
Yep.
the cadence. And again, not to make this a Norm Macdonald podcast, though I'd be totally down for such a thing.
Right.
If you notice, he definitely has like a different like mentality when he goes on different talk shows. Like on Dave Letterman, he always has like respect. He's wearing a nice suit. He's on the top of his game. When he's on Conan, it seems like he almost treats Conan more as like a peer.
Yep.
Like he'll talk down to him, and he'll just go off in these like long-winded jokes that have like the dumbest punchline that are just, it's like the journey is the entire experience on that. And there's like his continuous like ribbing of Andy Richter.
Yeah. Oh, Andy Richter, the Swedish German. No, one of my favorite, real quick. I mean, we could probably go back and forth with Norm stories all night, but real quick, one of my favorite, and this kind of speaks to what you were saying about how he tailors his act or tailors what he does depending on where he's at. I like watching him on The View. Is or at least was way back when was hilarious. And
The one time he was on there.
one of my favorite things was he's talking about the Twilight Zone, and Barbara Walters is trying to hurry things up because she wants to keep a schedule for what they're doing on the show, which is basically impossible with Norm when he wants to make it impossible. And he's telling this story about how he liked the Twilight Zone when he was a kid, and his dad, didn't approve of those kind of things. And he was watching some episode. And he said, my dad walked in and said, "Oh, I bet this one's just some kind of goddamn ghost."
Yep.
The best part of it is the silence afterwards. And then Barbara Walters going, "Oh, well, that was worth it."
Yeah, that's just great. And like he's almost even better when he's in an antagonistic type role, like the White House Correspondence Center.
Yep. Yeah, I've watched that one too. Yep.
Yeah, we should probably move on because I won't stop talking about Norm Macdonald if we don't do that.
All right, so our next segment, one of our regular segments, Guess the Plot. I'm playing today, so Mike, you're going to give me a movie that I haven't seen before. So go ahead and shoot. What movie are we doing?
See, I don't know that you've seen any part of this movie or even a preview, but this is a movie that I really enjoy, but it's not necessarily a great movie. Is 1993's John Woo debut in America, Hard Target, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, I have not seen the preview, or I've not seen a trailer to this movie. I haven't seen this movie at all.
Do you know the premise of it at all?
Not at all. So I'm going to be kind of shooting in the dark here. But
Okay.
consider.
All right, do you want me to give you it, or do you just want to go ahead and go?
No, I'll go ahead and try to guess it. So it's 1993 and it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I'm guessing there's a lot of kicking in it.
There is.
So let's
This
see.
is Van Damme at the height of his power, by the way. The best movie he was ever in, which isn't saying much.
That the hair, the mullet flowing strongly. The
It was actually quite greasy in this one, so it wasn't flowing much at all.
Okay. So let's see. Hard Target, based on the title, I am going to say, let's see, either Van Damme could be the hard target or he could be going after a hard target. So I'm going to guess that Van Damme's the hard target. Now let's see. Usually these movies, these kind of movies, involve some sort of love interest who's in some kind of trouble. So I'm guessing that he meets a girl that's in some sort of trouble. Either she's in danger, or like her son's in danger, or some family member's in danger, and he's the only one that can help her. I'm gonna guess, given the year, that the villains are some sort of Eastern European, like, Russian-y type or Middle Eastern type bad guys who have come.
You want me to tell you who plays the villains? I might inform you a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, one guy, I cannot remember his name, and it's really a failing on my part. He was in The Mummy as the Mummy.
Okay.
And he was also in one of the seasons of 24. This guy's a great villain. I don't know his name. I'll look it up. And the other villain is probably one of my favorite actors of all time, Lance Henriksen.
Okay, Lance Henriksen, yeah, for sure. The Highlander. And
No, not the Highlander. He was Bishop in Aliens.
oh yeah, that's right. Who was the Highlander?
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, Christopher Lambert, that's right. Yeah, Lance Henriksen, okay, Bishop. Yeah, okay, so
Sorry, Arnold Vosloo. That's the guy.
yeah, I don't know if I ever knew his name. I know he was Marwan on 24.
Yeah, I didn't know his name either until I just looked it up.
But okay, so he definitely could be Middle Eastern. Lance Henriksen, maybe he could pull off Middle Eastern. But anyway, so they are in America trying to, I guess they have to be trying to kill him. for some reason. So he's probably let's see. Van Damme probably plays some sort of detective or spy. They're trying to kill him, and he's got the love interest with him who he's trying to help, or they're trying to kill her maybe, and he's protecting her, and they're looking for her family member, whoever that is. Maybe the villains have them captured, and he wins the day with a lot of kicking, and I'm sure there's a lot of explosions and action. Am I close?
I mean, all those elements are there, but it's not quite what it is.
Okay.
All right, this is a movie in a weird genre that I happen to love a lot. This movie is the hunting humans genre.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he's the hard target because they have like captured him and are hunting him?
What the premise of the movie is, and you are correct, there is a love interest. It's not Yasmin Bleeth, but if you looked at her, you might think it was. Okay. Her name, I can't remember her name. She was in Witchblade, which I've only seen the preview for. Mm-hmm. But okay, so this is, you can tell it's a good Van Damme movie because they're still trying to explain his accent. I feel that like action movies, generally, if there's like a person from a different country, when they stop trying to explain their accent, it's like, okay, it's not good anymore.
Right.
I mean, there's some exceptions, like in Predator, Arnold still has like the Austrian accent. No reason why, but whatever. So it takes place in Louisiana, and Van Damme, who's French, has that Louisiana accent, which makes no sense. At the beginning of the movie, basically Lance Henriksen and his cronies are they're offering homeless men like $10,000 to make it from point A to point B, and they're charging these men to hunt them.
Okay.
And so the star, again, I don't remember her name. Her dad was a homeless guy, and he gets killed. And this doesn't make any sense at all because Van Damme is like he goes out on ships. I don't know what that means. He's like a laborer or something. Mm-hmm. But he's also like a master martial artist.
Okay.
They don't explain why at any point in the movie. There's no rational reason for this. And yeah, there's like his patented slow motion, like where he kicks one guy and they show it from like 3 different angles.
Yep.
So they kill her father. Spoiler. And then Van Damme, and I don't understand this part either. I think he either goes undercover as like a homeless guy and like gets a job, or I don't think that's really it. I think he just starts hunting them down. But then so like they have like all these men are like hunting Van Damme, and Lance Henriksen is like the leader of the crew. He's like basically charging people to do these hunts and stuff. At one point, Van Damme punches a rattlesnake in the face.
Oh my god!
But then he bites its tail off, like the rattle part, which I don't know why, but that's what happens. And he sets it up as a trap to bite somebody.
Wow.
Wilford Brimley's in the movie. He's some kind of friend of Van Damme's. I'm not quite sure. He rides a horse, though, and he has a bow and arrow.
Oh my god, that's got to be worth it just to see Wilford Brimley on a horse.
See, I'd really like you to watch this movie because I could talk. There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, and like I read stuff about it recently where it's like they actually wanted to focus more on Lance Henriksen and the Vaslu guy.
Okay.
But I mean, Van Damme's like, no, I'm the star of this movie. I'm Van Damme. And what's interesting is it was John Woo's first like American movie, and I guess they had Sam Raimi on set the whole time just in case he had to take over.
Wow.
And of course, since Sam Raimi's involved, Ted Raimi's in a scene. I was trying to pull up the clip on YouTube, which, as we said earlier, isn't really working. It is like absolutely the worst line reading I've ever heard. Like, and this scene makes no sense. Like, the homeless guy is like down an alley, and Ted Raimi just shows up. He's like, "I ain't got no change, man."
Wow.
Like, and then like they just shoot this guy in like plain sight, like 50 feet away from like a ton of people on Bourbon Street. Yeah, I mean, you had all the elements there, but it's just like a really weird. Like during that time, they had that movie. I think Surviving the Game with Ice-T, where he was also like a homeless guy who was being hunted.
Yep, I do remember that movie. I didn't see that movie, but I have seen the preview to that movie.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't remember a thing about the movie. It was just really bad. Shockingly.
Yancey Butler is the
that's it. Yep, that's it.
Witchblade. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was her.
She does look like Yasmin Bleeth a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, it's a movie that I really enjoy watching. I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but Lance Henriksen is just really good in the movie because he's good in everything I've seen him in.
Yeah, maybe we'll review that next. Maybe I'll watch it and we'll review that movie next week.
Yeah, that's a subject I can go. And I guess they did a Hard Target Part Two recently, which it was like last year or something, and I have no idea why they would make it. See, the problem with these reimagining, I don't understand why. Like with 22 Jump Street, they could just made that movie and not had any relation whatsoever to the original series, and it'd be a great movie still. I mean,
Yep.
there's just no reason.
Well, I was saying that about they. I haven't seen it, but they rebooted Magnum PI, and I saw commercials for it, and I said, "Why? There's nothing. The guy doesn't look like Tom Selleck for one thing, which I mean he doesn't need to, but the reason that Magnum PI was popular in the 80s was because of Tom Selleck. Because Tom Selleck was charming and women thought Tom Selleck was handsome and guys wanted to be like Tom Selleck. There's nothing about that movie or I mean that TV show that's unique. It was a
It's just like
it was
a
a
private eye in Hawaii. I
exactly.
mean, do you really need it to be Magnum PI? There's more than one private eye in Hawaii, I would assume.
Yeah, it was just a detective show. The only thing that set it apart from any other detective show is that Tom Selleck was a really charismatic and handsome guy in the 80s. So why reboot it? Like, if you want to make a show like that, it doesn't have to be Magnum PI. Just come up with your own unique idea. You know, it's not that hard to say, okay, he's a detective in Iceland, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever you want to do, you don't have to. You don't have to work hard to make it different. It doesn't have to be. But they wanna. They wanna try to capitalize on people saying, "Oh, remember Magnum PI? I remember Magnum PI."
Yeah, it's like the only thing that was like kind of a twist in the genre was really a ripoff of Charlie's Angels, where it's like some mysterious benefactor. It's like
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really seen Magnum PI, but isn't like it's again spoiler is the butler guy Higgins is like the voice the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Which is really kind of weird. Like it's like this mysterious benefactor. He's like, I'm gonna pretend to be a butler all the time.
Yeah, I know it's weird, but Donald P. Belisario created that show, and he created one of my favorite shows of all time, Quantum Leap. But I think he does like NCIS now. So I don't.
Okay.
So I don't know if he. I think he was in the Navy because all three of those shows have a Navy connection. Magnum used to be in the Navy. NCIS is obviously the Navy, and Al from Quantum Leap was a naval admiral. So I think he used to be in the Navy, and that's something that ties all of his shows together. But I don't know. Maybe so I know he's. I think it's on CBS, and NCIS is on CBS, and maybe he wants more money. He wants to get into a corner with Gus Van Sant and count his money. And he said, "Oh well, someone had some generic PI show, and he said, hey, let's make it Magnum PI, and it'll get better ratings."
Right, because all the people who were watching Magnum PI during the height of its fame are still watching the same show, I guess.
Right, they're all in their big diapers now.
It just doesn't appeal to me at all. I mean, I didn't see the original. I mean,
I watched a little bit of it, but I mean, I was, we're roughly the same age. I think you're about a year younger than I am, but I watched a little bit of it. But I was probably like 6 when that show was really popular. I barely remember any of it.
Yeah, I remember like nothing. I just remember he had a tiger's hat. Like, oh, he's got a tiger's hat.
Yeah. That was the thing around here. That was the thing that attracted. I mean, like I said, he was charismatic and everything, but that was the one thing everyone was kind of like, hey, that he was pretty much the first one, I think, to really popularize the Tigers cap as more than just I'm a Tigers fan, but like a cultural type thing. Because a lot of people that aren't from Detroit, because he's from Detroit, but a lot of people that aren't from Detroit wear that now.
Tom Selleck is, or the character, or both?
Tom Selleck is. Tom Selleck insisted on wearing that hat because Donald Belisario has no connection to Detroit, and the character didn't either. But Tom Selleck insisted that he wanted to wear that hat because he liked the Tigers and he wanted to represent Michigan.
Fair enough.
Okay, so now on to our main topic tonight, which is our favorite Halloween movies. In honor of Halloween, we will be talking our favorite films. I did a top three. I don't know how many you are doing or you want to do, but I did because Mike and I don't really go over stuff very much. We feel unprepared is the best for the podcast, but which is why we spent like 40 minutes talking about Norm Macdonald. But
Oh no, that was planned.
but so I have like a top three. I did two that are pretty well known, and then I did more of a off the beaten path movie that I really like a lot that I think people should check out. But and I'm going to be kind of snobby with it too because there's an American version and a French version, and the French version is clearly superior to the American version.
Is it Martyrs?
Yeah, that's right. How'd you know? Okay, so I'll start.
I haven't seen it, but I've read about it.
I'll start with that one. I'll start with Martyrs. It's one of those movies. So it's called Martyrs. Like I said, the French version is the better version. If you can get that version, that's the version you want to see. Because the American version, it tones a lot of stuff down and it gives a pseudo happy ending for the movie, which kind of betrays a lot of the stuff that the original does. But so I will just give you a quick plot rundown of the film. I will say probably about 2 minutes in, there will be spoilers for the movie Martyrs. So if you don't want to have it spoiled and you want to see it, which I suggest everyone does, then just skip ahead about 2 minutes. Or I mean, skip ahead about 5 minutes from now and go on to the next one. But so Martyrs is a movie where at the beginning, this young girl escapes from a house and she gets picked up by an orphanage. She ends up going to an orphanage. Her parents, are not around or anything. And she makes friends with this other little girl at the orphanage. And she tells her that she had been being held captive and tortured by this group of people. And everyone thinks she's nuts because she says she can still see them. She sees like apparitions of them. So many years later, they're 18. They get out of the orphanage, the two girls. And the girl that said she was tortured, she wants to hunt down these people that tortured her. So she takes her friend to this house with a family in it. And she goes in and she's got a shotgun and she brutally murders this entire family. And her friend is like, she believed her the whole time. Now she's thinking that she's just nuts and she can't believe what she did. The cops are coming and everything. She says that she thought by killing these people she wouldn't see these, things anymore. She still sees it. She takes the shotgun and she kills herself. So the friend doesn't know what to do, but she hears this noise. She goes over to a corner. There's a hidden room in the floor, and there's two little girls down there that are being held captive. So her friend that just killed herself was correct. These people were part of this group that held them captive. So anyway, to kind of cut to the chase, the friend ends up getting kidnapped by this group, and their whole purpose is that they believe that they can make martyrs out of women and young girls by torturing them, and they'll be able to see into the afterlife, into whatever comes after this. And they firmly believe that this is the case. So they start torturing her, and in one of the climax of the movie, they flay off all her skin. And it's gruesome. It's one of those, it's almost like Italian horror where it's not heavy gore. I mean, I know that sounds gruesome, and it is, but it's more gruesome than gory because there's not a ton of blood like there would be in like a Dario Argentino movie or something like that. But it's like skin crawling, that kind of scary. And so they flay off all her skin. The actress really conveys this very well. You can see she sees something. And the woman that's in charge of this whole cult comes up to her and says, "You see it, don't you?" And she kind of nods her head. And she puts her ear next to her mouth, and the girl whispers something to her, and then she dies. So the leader of the cult, you can see she's clearly shaken. She goes into the bathroom, and her little sycophant, like assistant, is with her, and he says, "She told you, right?" And she says, "Yes." And he says, "What is it?" Because she's about to give a speech to everyone, telling them what comes after death. And she says to him, "Keep doubting." Then she takes a gun and blows her brains out. And that's the end of the movie.
Nice. Yeah, I've read the summary on Wikipedia. I haven't seen it. I don't really desire to see it since I've read the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. It is great, though. It's very atmospheric. It's very creepy. There's not a lot of jump scares or things like that, but it's a make your skin crawl kind of horror movie. And like I said, the French version is in the American version, both of them live for a while longer than in the French version. The other one gets recaptured, and then she eventually dies. She kind of takes the place of the friend in the French version, and the friend lives at the end of the movie and everything. It undercuts a lot of. I mean, it's fairly the same, but it undercuts some of the emotional stuff. But it's also very interesting in its ideas too. So everyone that didn't want to be spoiled, that's back now. If you, I highly recommend that you rent Martyrs. It is fantastic. So, Mike, what's one of your movies?
I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's called Dead Calm.
Yes, yeah, I have seen
with
it.
It's an early Nicole Kidman movie. Sam Neill is in it, and Billy Zane.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of I'm not a big fan of supernatural type movies, which for the horror genre, that's like 99% of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Dead Calm is basically Billy Zane playing like a psychopath, and it's like a very realistic for the most part. There's some parts that are just kind of ridiculous. You just the premise is Nicole Kidman and Sam Neill are on a boat, and they get a distress signal. There's another ship that's taking on water, and they go there, and Billy Zane's the only person on the boat, and everybody else is dead.
Mm-hmm.
I could be remembering this wrong. It's been a while. They might be. You might not see anybody else. But then they get this videotape, and then they watch it when Billy Zane's not with them, and they discover that he killed everybody on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, Billy Zane, I think he throws Sam Neill off the boat, or he locks him up, or something like that. And it's just a complete psychological horror movie. All the people in it are really. Sam Neill's a really good actor. I've mostly seen him from Jurassic Park, but he was in that. He was in The Mouth of Madness, which is another. Yeah. That's definitely a supernatural movie, but there's parts in that movie that are just really disturbing to me for some reason. In The Mouth of Madness.
Oh, for sure.
It's I believe it's a John Carpenter movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's that one. The whole premise is there's an author whose books are making people insane, and he has the initials SK, of course.
Yeah.
But it's
Cole, I think his last name, right?
Sutter Kane.
Or Sutter Kane. That's right.
Yeah. And it's just there's just a really bizarre parts of that movie, which it's also good. Another Sam Raimi movie, but Sam Neill. Sorry. It's kind of funny they keep saying Sam Raimi, where I'm not really a big fan of Sam Raimi's horror movies.
Right.
Yeah, Dead Calm. I would definitely check that out. It's for me. It's you can kind of tell it was made in the late 80s, early 90s, just by the way the film looks.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like it's a super high budget or anything like that, but it's a really a nice movie to just kind of watch if you just want to see a really good story, a lot of good performances.
Yeah.
Just like Billy Zane, and I mean, I know he's mostly known for the movie Titanic, probably,
Yep.
but I mean, he's a great actor in everything I've seen him in.
Yeah, I like Billy Zane a lot too, and I like a lot of the. Nicole Kidman does some movies that, as far as the subject matter goes, I don't really like. Um, but her acting is usually very good in almost everything that she does. Um,
That might be the only movie I've ever seen with her in it.
oh, really?
Yeah, I can't think of any other movies I've seen with. Oh no, I saw what was Eyes Wide Shut. She was really good in that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. She's in Malice. She was good in that too.
I haven't seen that, but I again read the summary and it sounded pretty good.
But yeah, Dead Calm is very good. I agree. It's a um, I would say. I mean, I guess it's a thriller.
Yeah,
But
I'd say it's a thriller. Not it's not really a horror movie. I guess I'm really more of a fan of thrillers than horror movies.
I think there's a fine line between what's a thriller and what's a horror movie. Because I agree with you. I don't think you necessarily need a supernatural element to have a horror movie. Like I would call Get Out a horror movie. Some
I
people
didn't
I
see
guess would
that.
call it suspense or a thriller. But I would say that's
Isn't
a
there like a there's like a supernatural element to that though, isn't there?
eh,
Like isn't it like a really like messed up version of being John Malkovich in a way?
I guess kind of. I mean, it's I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe it'd be more fantasy than supernatural because the premise is that they are implanting their brains into black people's bodies. So
yeah, that's
it's
what I thought. So it's like they like physically implanted.
yeah.
I thought it like they took him over or something. Like I said, I haven't seen it.
No, the
I don't think I
dad
will just because.
the dad is a brain surgeon, so he
Okay, yeah, I didn't know there
actually
was
does
a.
it.
Okay, that I mean, I say that makes more sense, but let's be honest here, that doesn't make more sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have a brain transplant. Like how I can't even begin. It's one of those things where, and I love the movie. It's a Get Out is Get Out's one of my probably top three favorite movies.
Yeah, I've heard it's very good.
But that's one of those things that you just have to suspend disbelief on because how in what way would it be possible to connect every nerve ending that you need to connect in order to transplant a brain into another body? I mean, it's
And have it be a secret, like I can transplant brains, but keep it on the down low.
right. Oh my god, yeah, seriously, like how much I don't know. How much money could you make doing something like that? Where you take someone that's going to die and well, I guess you'd have to kill someone to do it though. So
Not necessarily. Someone could be brain dead and their body still alive.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, it could be like a
Organ donor type thing.
yeah, like a thing just for the rich, basically, to where it's like if you, because that's how they would do it based on who could pay for it, not necessarily based on need, because there's a limited supply of brain dead people whose family would be like, yeah, it's okay, you can take their body.
Right.
But yeah, that I don't know. That would be an interesting movie too. But no, Get Out is great, and it's one of those where Jordan Peele, it's his first movie allegedly. I still firmly believe that he's been making movies in his basement for like 10 years or something like that, like Hollywood quality movies, and not telling anyone because I have no idea how anyone on their first time out could make such I mean, it's almost perfect in the way visually and everything, the way it's structured. There's I'll give you a real quick example. There's a part of the movie where we don't know at the time, but there are two black servants or workers or whatever at the house. One's a cook and one's a gardener, and it's his parents who took the bodies of these two people. And he's walking with Chris, the main character, and he's talking to him and everything. And he says that he's talking about his mother, and he says, "Yo, she loved her kitchen, so we always like to keep a piece of her here." And the camera's following them the whole time. And right when he says that, it comes around the corner, and you see the maid standing there in the kitchen, and it's just such brilliant foreshadowing. He does a lot of stuff like that, real subtle touches throughout the whole movie that are just amazing. Now, the third act, the very end of the third act, becomes a little. That's the one part of the movie that's the weakest part of the movie because it becomes a very slashery type horror movie thing. It really kind of devolves for maybe like the last 15 minutes of the film or so. But I firmly feel that that was the studio saying, "Look, you have to do this way, or people aren't going to get it." But that's what I think that's about. But that's clearly the weakest part of the movie. But it's the things he does is brilliant.
Yeah, did he direct the Key and Peele show or any of those episodes? Do you
You
know?
know,
Or
I'm not sure if he did or not. I guess
I mean, I'm sure
I could
it's
look
not
that
the
up.
same quality, obviously, but
Well, it's different. Directing TV is a lot different than directing a movie. But yeah, I mean, it would I assume he probably did. I assume he probably directed a few episodes, which would be decent experience. But yeah, the subtlety and everything that he puts in it, it's beautiful. Um, so the last movie that I want to talk about is another one with Sam Neill, and I think you've seen this movie too. I think this is another movie we've seen together, Event Horizon.
okay. Yeah, I've seen that. I probably have seen it with you.
That is another movie where it's just kind of creepy. Like there's I would call it more of a sci-fi element to it than a supernatural element. Because the premise is they go and find this ship that Sam Neill helped design that had gotten lost and now it's suddenly reappeared. And they're going to salvage it. It takes place in the far future. And Sam Neill goes with the crew to help recover it as the expert on the ship. And what happens is it turned out that he created this some kind of star drive or whatever you want to call it that creates a black hole or a wormhole that allows the ship to travel interdimensionally and was supposed to allow it to travel large distances in a very short period of time. What ended up happening is they go into a different dimension, and the way they kind of explain it is like almost in biblical terms how if our dimension is based on good, that's like the fundamental, even though bad things happen, the fundamental orientation of our dimension is good, based on good. This one's based on evil, and it's just some kind of like freaking nightmare dimension. So, and things come through there, and that's kind of the, it's supernatural-y, but more sci-fi-ish, I would say, if that's a word, which it's not.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's even though it's obviously far fetched, it's grounded somewhat in science. I guess I would say it's more of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, and the like one of the creepiest parts of the movie to me is they show the last log of the crew, and it's chaos and everyone's running around, lights are going on and off, and this guy's repeating something in Latin, and for some reason they have a guy that knows Latin on their crew now, and he translates it as save your or save us. So they go through the movie and everything, and bad stuff starts to happen, and it's getting towards the climax of the film, and the guy that translated it's talking with one of the other crew members, and he says, "I've been listening to the recording a few times, and I was wrong in my translation. He wasn't saying save us, he was saying save yourselves." And when he says that and the way he delivers it, it's just like, I mean, I was like, oh my God, it just like gave me the chills. So that's kind of why I put that up there as one of the the scary movies. I mean, there's a lot. I could go on because I'm more of a fan of horror movies than you are, I think.
Oh yeah,
But
I would say for sure. I
but
know when we were younger, you would watch. That's basically all you would watch. It would seem like sometimes.
oh yeah, but and all kind like me and my friend Colin, our friend Colin, we would rent like all kinds, foreign, domestic, like silly, terrifying stuff like we would rent all kinds of horror movies and watch them. I don't watch them nearly as much now as I'm older, but yeah, there's a lot that I like. But those would be the ones that I think I would recommend, at least for this holiday season. Some that you might not have seen. Do you have any other horror movie that you liked?
Yeah, is as much as I would was ripping on remakes earlier. This one is technically a remake. I'm sure you could probably guess what I'm about to say.
I think so.
What would you think it would be?
The Thing.
Yep, The Thing, John. I've never seen the original. Vincent Price may be in it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
But the John Carpenter's 1984, 85 ish probably movie, The Thing. That's just an amazing movie.
Absolutely. That I mean,
Again,
yeah. Go ahead.
that's not really a horror movie. It's a the entire premise is sci-fi. Again, it's far fetched. It's an alien life form that comes to Earth.
Hmm.
And kind of like Event Horizon, I'm not a Norwegian speaker, shockingly. But at the very beginning, I guess the guy is yelling, watch out, this thing is going to kill us all or something when he's chasing the dog.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've heard
that's,
that.
I mean, again, Wilford Brimley. We're on a Wilford Brimley kick. He's in the movie. Well, I just completely blank. Kurt Russell, he's amazing in the movie. Just everyone in the movie's good. One of the more like stressful things I've ever seen in a movie is when they're testing the blood with a hot wire.
Yep.
They completely ripped off from the movie The Faculty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I remember that scene in The Faculty. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
incredibly tense in The
I
Thing.
mean, and the effects are practical effects. They're amazing. I mean, I can't say enough about the thing. I mean, I'm sure most people have seen it. If you haven't, I definitely give that a look. They did a remake of that, and I don't. That's like Psycho. I don't understand why you'd remake it. Maybe
Yeah,
the
I didn't either.
filmmaker didn't want anybody else. Maybe the filmmaker didn't want anybody else to remake it.
Yeah, that one. And I heard, I have not seen the remake. I've heard it's really bad. Um, but I heard that originally they wanted to go practical for a lot of the effects, and for some reason the studio didn't want to do it, or the studio didn't think that it looked good enough, and they went very CGI heavy, and it's very noticeable and very bad. I've seen some clips, um, and it is very noticeable and very bad. And
Yeah, I
it's
just
not
have
good.
no desire to see it. There's literally no point to see it. I mean, you can't improve upon the original. I don't think. I mean, even though you'll find this is a theme with me. I don't like footage that looks old. It's clearly made in the '80s by the way the film looks and stuff. I mean, so it's just such a wonderful movie.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, the original was called. Well, I mean, it's based on a book or a short story, I think.
I think isn't it The Thing from Outer Space?
The Thing from
So
Another World.
there you go.
Yeah, that's the original RKO 19 God, I think it was 1951
Yeah, sounds
thing, and it was Kenneth Tobey was in it, William Self, and Robert Cornwaith. Um like
not to be confused with The Thing from a Different World, which was Whitley.
I just made a Sinbad joke today earlier too. Man, he was never
Really?
more famous than when he was on that show.
What was this? Wasn't he in St. Elsewhere?
No, I don't think so. Was he?
I've never seen St. Elsewhere, but I thought he was. Maybe it's Howie Mandel. Of
Howie
course,
Mandel
a
was in it.
clear,
Yeah,
common mistake.
they do look a lot alike.
He was in Necessary Roughness.
Yeah, I like that. I actually like that movie. That's one of those. That's one of those guilty pleasure. I know it's not really that good, but I like that movie.
You're clearly a Scott Bakula aficionado.
Yeah, yeah. Denzel Washington was in Saint Elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought Sinbad was in like another '80s like comedy for some reason. I have no idea why. I know he's in. Oh yeah, that's one show I actually do watch. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay, yeah.
Sinbad was in an episode of that. He was pretty good in that actually.
But the thing, I agree with you. Oh, I mean, absolutely fantastic film. And just, it's so stark. It's so nihilistic. And the practical effects, I don't know if there's been better practical effects in a movie. The creature effects are fantastic. I mean, obviously, there are some that look better than others. There are some that stand up a little bit more than others do. But it's just it's one of those movies that you experience when you watch it.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely feel like you're completely immersed in it. You feel isolated. Like there's clearly some music in it, and I would not be shocked if it was John Carpenter composed because it sounds like his kind of music.
Right.
But I mean, it's very silent in a lot of parts. It's just you feel isolated while it takes place in Antarctica for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Now, I think Carpenter did some of the music on it, I believe, but I know that Ennio Morricone did a lot of the score.
Okay, that would make sense too.
The movie, yeah, and he did. He's done a lot of films as a composer.
I read this somewhere kind of recently. Apparently, in Antarctica, when they lock in for the winter, they play the.
Oh wow!
I think they play the original as well, and then the John Carpenter movie. John Carpenter, during a certain stretch, he was just—I can't imagine, how creative he was, and just the amazing movies he was turning out.
Oh yeah, and he went. He did a lot of lower budget, not exactly independent movies because he still kind of worked for studios, but not hugely budgeted or hugely studio involved films for a lot of his career. And I think I'm trying to remember what movie it was where he was just like, fuck this, and said that he was just going to start doing more independent stuff again because he kind of built up his career, and then he got a lot of studio interference on one of his films, and was just like, I'm not going this way ever again.
It was like a wide variety of genres too. It was Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, obviously.
Big Trouble in Little China.
That's him too.
Yep.
I didn't know that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Kurt Russell's in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he likes Kurt Russell a lot.
Kurt Russell, I mean, he's good in everything I've seen him in too. He's just another actor that I never I don't seek out Kurt Russell movies, but if I see a movie, I'm like, okay, this is probably good because, like your comments earlier about Keanu Reeves, he just seems to know when a movie's going to be good.
Mm-hmm. And
then you got to Keanu Reeves is 100% on that, but
you know what he kind of reminds me of is, or what this person reminds me of Kurt Russell is The Rock. The Rock, I think, is sort of kind of like Kurt Russell 2.0, except Kurt Russell was better at picking good movies, or they made better movies back then.
I believe Kurt Russell was also the last words that Walt Disney wrote down before he died.
Really?
Yeah, they just found among I think he died at his desk or something, and he just had the word Kurt Russell written down.
Wow.
Some people think because he was an actor as a young man too. Some people think he was planning another project for him. I like to think that he murdered him.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's his killer, Kurt Russell. If we can ever revive him from cryogenic sleep, then we can ask Walt Disney if Kurt Russell is a violent murderer.
I like the conspiracy theory that Disney released the movie Frozen so that people would deflect from the idea that Walt Disney was frozen. I wish that was true, but I don't think he actually is cryogenically frozen.
I don't know where that rumor started, but he's not.
You know why he's not? Kurt Russell couldn't risk it.
But yeah, I don't know where, how that rumor started or anything, because that's been around since I was young. But he's not verifiably not cryogenically frozen. He's buried. But one of my favorite Kurt Russell stories is you've seen The Hateful Eight, right?
I actually haven't. It's I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan. He's probably one of my favorite directors. Alfred Hitchcock is probably the number one.
Hmm.
But it just seems like a very long movie, and I like all the people in it. But I'm like, yeah, I don't think I watch that long of a movie.
I like it a lot. I think it's a good movie, and Walter Goggins is very good in the movie. I like him a lot. Kurt Russell's very good in the movie. There's this won't be a spoiler if you ever want to watch it, but there's a part in the movie where Kurt Russell takes a guitar and he smashes it. Now, the guitar that they were using was like a priceless antique guitar, and they
Yeah,
were supposed to
like a
switch it out.
Martin guitar, I think.
Yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah, I've read about or my friend Matt told me about it. It's a Martin guitar, which are like super expensive.
Yeah, and they were supposed to switch it out for a prop guitar for him to smash it, but they didn't get a chance to. I think he kind of ad libbed it too, and they didn't get a chance to swap it out. So he grabs it and smashes it, and you can see Ali Sheedy, who's in the movie. You can see her genuine reaction of, "Oh my God, don't do that!" But she doesn't. She doesn't break character, and she doesn't ruin the take because the take that he did that in is the take they used in the movie. But you can see very briefly just the horror in her eyes as he's about to do it. And then,
Ali Sheedy's in that.
yeah, Ali Sheedy plays, and she's very good in the movie too.
I hadn't seen her. I think the last movie I saw her in was not another teen movie, but that might have been Molly Ringwald. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's Molly Ringwald. I think it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I forgot that Chris Evans, Captain America himself, is in that movie.
Oh, is he? I think I probably saw that with you. The thing that there was this show on Comedy Central. It was called Beat the Geek. Do you remember that show?
Yes, Beat the Geeks. I remember that show. Yeah.
The only thing that sticks out for that movie is the guy from Beat the Geeks is in that movie. He was like the TV expert.
Yeah, that's right.
He like sings a song. He's like a cook at the restaurant or something like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I've forgotten all about that show and that movie.
Yeah, that's the only memory I have of that movie.
Oh my gosh. So, let's see. Oh, so the last thing that we're going to talk about today is
Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald and his contribution to horror movies. No, we're going to talk about alternate endings. So, this is another semi-regular what's the word I'm looking for?
Feature?
Yes, semi-regular feature we're doing that where we take a movie and we either change the ending to something different or we give it a sequel that it never got to sort of expand on the lore or fix problems. And the movie that, in honor of Halloween, the movie that I chose today is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, I know, Mike, you haven't seen this movie.
I have not.
I'll kind of walk through the problems real quick. Now, I've watched this movie recently, and I think it's one of those movies that it doesn't. It's a classic, quote unquote classic, but it doesn't necessarily hold up. It's a good movie, but it really gets by on its first act, which is very effective and very creepy. And it kind of the third act, I think, really derails the entire movie. And that's the part that obviously that I would change. But for people that don't know, Freddy Krueger can infiltrate kids' dreams, and kill them in their sleep. He's doing it. So Nancy has discovered that she can pull things out of the dream. So her plan is to grab onto Freddy, set an alarm, wake up, pull him out of the dream world into the real world where he can be killed. And she, Home Alone style, sets up all these different traps around the house in order to trap him. So the third act of the movie is her pulling him out of her dream and him kind of stumbling through these different traps that she set and everything. And then eventually she realizes that the only thing that gives him power is her belief in him. So even though they're supposed to be in the real world, And like he kills her mom, who's an alcoholic, but sort of like drags her down into the bed with this weird light, like she's being dragged into the poltergeist realm or something like that. And so she says, I take away all the power I ever gave you. You're nothing. She turns her back on him and he disappears into these blue, glowing, like very bad 80s effect dots and disappears. And then she wakes up. Everything's back to normal. Her mom's alive again. All her friends who were killed, including her boyfriend, are alive. They pick her up for school. She gets in, and then all the doors lock. The hood, the roof of the car comes up because it's a convertible, and it's in the orange and black Freddy stripes. And then Freddy's hand comes out of the small window of the house and drags what's obviously a blow-up doll that's supposed to be her mom into the thing, and then you hear him laugh and the movie's over. And the only logical explanation is that the entire third act of the movie was a dream, that she never actually woke up, never pulled him into the real world, that she was dreaming the entire time, and I guess she's still dreaming now, basically, or he's killing her in the dream. It totally undercuts the entire third act of the movie, and I think it was a change that they put in there because one of the executives wanted them to leave room for a sequel, and so he wanted this kind of like this was popularized by Carrie, what Brian De Palma did with Carrie, where they go to her grave at the end of the movie. Spoilers for Carrie, and spoilers for a 43-year-old movie, and her hand comes out of the grave, and that was a big shock back then because that was one of the first times that there was a big gotcha ending like that at the end of a horror movie. And I think they wanted to sort of imitate that, and that's kind of why they did what they did. But none of it makes any sense. If he's not in the real world and he's in the dream world that he has complete control over, why does he fall into all of her traps? Why? Like it just, none of it makes much sense, and it really undercuts everything that they built up to before that point. So what I would do is, I would change it into her actually bringing him into the real world and actually, like fighting him that way. And, the mom can die, and that's fine. She's just permanently dead. That's just all there is to it. So that's the change that I would make, is that I wouldn't have the last part be a dream. It's a cop-out kind of ending, and only there so that they can make more movies.
Yeah, it's always a bad sign.
So do you have an alternate ending that you want to do?
Yeah, but first, there's a weird thing of trivia about Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
You know how it's like? I think it's actually Johnny Depp's first movie.
Yes, it is.
Like the first time he's ever in. He actually. Have you ever seen the movie The Bad News Bears, the original?
Yes.
Yeah, the remake's actually pretty good too with Billy Bob Thornton. But in the original, the tough kid Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
He's the actor Jackie Earl Haley.
Yes, that's
Something
right.
like that?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he actually went to an audition for Nightmare on Elm Street with his friend Johnny Depp.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, he didn't get the part, but Johnny Depp did. And then when they did the remake, guess who's playing Freddy Krueger?
Yeah, it's Jackie Earle Haley.
Jackie Earle Haley.
So he finally got his comeuppance.
I didn't realize that they were friends. I knew
Yeah,
that he
sure.
did. I knew he played Freddy in the remake. He plays creepy characters a lot.
Yeah, he was Rorschach in the Watchmen movie,
was,
which
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the comics, but I guess they're making a series of that now.
That's what I heard too.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, they did a stop motion comic, which sounded interesting in theory, but I think it's like 8 hours long, so I have no interest in that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Watchmen movie. Like you, I've read the comics. I think a lot of people that have read the comics, I think a lot of people that haven't read the comics kind of like the movie, and a lot
Yeah,
of
I
people
think
that
you're
have read
right.
the comics don't like the movie.
Yeah, I the comic is I love it. It's one
Oh,
of my
it's
favorite.
fantastic.
Yeah, okay. The one I have an alternate ending for. only serves to amuse me. This is something I've thought about like way too long, and I think about way too much. And every time I think about it, it just makes me laugh so hard.
Okay.
The perennial favorite movie that they always used to play on TBS and or TNT was, I think you know the answer to this one.
Well, there's a couple. It could be the Shawshank Redemption.
Yep, The Shawshank Redemption,
Okay.
which, as you know, was based on a Stephen King story, or was it a Suter Kane story? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite part, and this part makes no sense because there's obviously Red is narrating the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the end, the very last line he says always cracks me up because he goes, "It's time to." It's something like this. I'm not going to say it right, and all the Shawshank Redemption fans out there will correct me, I'm sure. But he says it's something like it's time to either get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
So I like the movie to continue a little bit longer for that, and then just to hear his voice go, "I choose dying," and he just pulls out a revolver and he shoots Andy Dufresne right in the head. Because Red was originally in jail for murder. He was like a contract hitman.
That's right.
So my theory is that the sisters paid Red off to go ahead and kill Andy, and then since he's in Mexico and it's like the '60s, I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to forge his ID. So Red just continues the rest of the movie sailing happily, committing a series of murders for hire. Because he's never redeemed, even in, like at his parole hearing, he never is. He's like, yeah, I don't feel bad at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So just continue with that.
Oh my God, that'd be great, and that could spin into a sequel of like Red is a contract killer in Mexico.
You could call it Paint the Town Red.
Oh my God, that's great. I would pay to see. I like The Shawshank Redemption. I am not one of those people that say it's the greatest movie ever. I know it's been up on the AFI lists of.
Yeah, it's a really good movie, but like a lot of movies, like even like The Thing from earlier, I can see a movie maybe once or twice, and I don't really need to see it again because the more I see it, it doesn't really improve it.
Yeah, I agree. But
Yeah,
I mean it's a good movie. I like it a lot. Don't send letters, Shawshank Redemption fans. But
Yeah, I'd say for sure it's the best Stephen King adaptation, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
Oh wait, hold on, I forgot the Langoliers.
oh God, with Balky.
Yep, Bronson Pinchot.
Yeah, that is that and that's like
And I think Molly Ringwald's in that too.
Yeah, that's mid-90s television CGI, which might be the worst CGI that's ever existed.
Some of the 2000s era sci-fi CGI is pretty bad too.
Oh my God.
I think Molly Ringwald was actually in The Stand, which is what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's right. Molly Ringwald was in The Stand. There was the blonde woman. She's one of those, oh yeah, I know her actresses, where she's been in a bunch of stuff, but I don't know her name. But she was in The Langoliers.
I wouldn't mind a decent remake of The Stand, like if it was like an HBO like 8-part series.
I think they're doing it. They're doing it as a theatrical movie. I think they're doing it in 2 parts, I believe.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough. Unless they're doing 2 3-hour movies. I suppose that's possible.
I think you need like 10-hour-long episodes, to even scratch the surface.
I think, and I agree with you. And I think as a limited series, as a 1-season series would make the most sense. And I think they could really delve in, even more than the book does, the little stories of different people who don't make it or whatever, showing the virus spread around the world. And they could make things very interesting if they did it like that. But yeah, I think... I'm gonna sound racist here, but the director I think they have on board has a Japanese name that I don't know if I can pronounce, Fukiura or something like that. He's done some other movies, but he is going to direct it, and I think he's writing the screenplay too.
Wait, is it Kerry? There's a guy named Kerry with like an F, last name.
I believe that's who it is. Yeah.
Oh, he's actually a pretty good director. He did a couple episodes of True Detective the first season.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the guy, because that's when I was reading about it. That's where he came from, was True Detective.
I think I can't. I know he's in other stuff. I'm not a great person with names, but that might be all right. But I mean, I did like some of the actors in the original. Like I thought Rob Lowe was good as the character. Nick.
Yep.
Gary Oldman I thought was pretty good.
Yep. You mean Gary Sinise?
Yeah, I'd like Gary Oldman too. Gary Oldman's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, I like Gary Oldman too. But yeah, Gary Sinise is good in it. Rob Lowe's good in it. Wilford Brimley's probably in it. He's good in it.
Probably.
We got to
Norm Macdonald as Randall Flagg.
Well, that's the worst part of that miniseries is Randall Flagg, and Norm Macdonald would have been anyone could have been a better Randall Flagg.
The guy who played his assistant, I don't remember the guy who was like a criminal in the original, who's like basically like his head of operations. That guy was a pretty good actor. I can't remember his name though.
Yeah, Miguel
Ferrero.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that was him.
War. It's fantastic. He is a good actor though.
Yeah, and speaking of bad CGI, oh my god, the end of that movie had some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. Randall Flagg like turned into something? I guess.
Demonish devil thing, yeah.
And then when I saw Laura San Giacomo, I'm like, you're not supposed to have tits.
Oh, Laura San Giacomo. There's another mid-90s name.
Yeah. That was geez, I do not know his name, but I feel really bad about this. The guy from the Hardee's commercials who plays Patrick on Michael something, I think his name is. It's with an F. He might be directing the new Sand movie by his last name.
Michael in the Hardee's commercials?
Yeah, the guy who plays Dauber, who played Dauber on Coach.
Oh yeah,
M-O-O-N,
that spells moon.
Yeah. It's a big Hardy.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that he was in. Those Hardy commercials. Yeah, his name's William Faber.
Oh, is it William? I thought it was Michael for some reason.
No, it's William Fagerbach, something like that.
Yeah,
He's got a Norwegian name.
Right.
Now we're gonna get hate mail from the Norwegians.
Could have warned us all.
Or maybe he's not even Norwegian. Maybe it's like Finnish or something like that, and then we'll get somebody saying, "Hey, you think I'm Swedish? I'm Norwegian."
I hope it's a Danish name because it'll just be too depressed to message us at all. Typical American.
Okay, well that is our show for tonight.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Did you ever see the show Oz on HBO?
Yes, I did.
One of the most jarring things I've ever seen is William Faberbaker on Oz.
Yeah.
Do you remember him on Oz?
Yes.
He was a white supremacist guard.
Oh God, it's a Dauber as a white supremacist. It was crazy.
What's even worse is his voice he does for Patrick from SpongeBob is basically his voice.
Yeah.
So if you close your eyes and you listen to him.
It's like Patrick talking about the Aryan race. Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Oh, every time I see that, it's the best.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch some more Oz now.
Fucking
It's
sweet.
been a long time since I've seen that show.
Yeah, that's a show that I think was on a little too long. Though there was a lot of great actors in there. J.K. Simmons.
Love him.
The guy. It's just pretty great all throughout.
There's that one guy that was on one of the Law and Orders, but I can't think of his name either.
Christopher Maloney.
Yeah.
SUV maybe. Yeah, SUV probably. It's probably not SVU. Law and Order Sports. It's SVU, Special Victims Unit, not SUV.
Yeah, the sex crimes.
Yeah.
You ever hear John Mulaney's joke about that?
No.
Oh, John Mulaney is another one that I think is a great stand-up, but he talks about how I'm going to plagiarize John Mulaney's joke here. So, John, don't sue us. But he talks about how he loves that show and he loves Ice-T on that show, because he says Ice-T treats every case as if it's the first case that he's ever had. And and he's like, there's an episode where this guy is like likes child pornography and stuff, and Ice-T goes, "So hold up, you saying this guy gets off on pictures of little girls and pigtails?" And John Mulaney's like, "Yeah, Ice, you work in the sex crimes division. He's a pedophile. You're gonna have to get used to that."
Nice.
But yeah, like Mulaney is hilarious. But yeah, so that is our show for tonight. Like I said before, you can reach us on Facebook at Massive Late Fee, on Twitter at Massive Late Fee. If you want to email us, you can email us at michsportsent@gmail.com. You can also find us at Movies, TV, Music if you want. That's where a lot of our articles are published, entertainment articles. Mike, do you have anything you want to plug this week?
The new Norm Macdonald show on Netflix is pretty good, so
Yep.
I'd watch that if I were you.
Absolutely. I would, yeah, for sure. Norm Macdonald is a great interviewer. So next week we will be talking more Norm Macdonald, more Hard Target, and join us then.